Welcome to Finance This, Property That. My name's Dion Fernandes, and this podcast is for property enthusiasts, time-poor professionals, self-employed borrowers, and strategic investors looking for residential or commercial property who want more than just a low interest rate. They want a strategy and a team around them. Each week, I'll share strategies, structures, and lending moves that actually grow wealth, not just get you the loan. And also, I will help you surround yourself with information from professionals in their field. If you're here to build smart, not slow, you're in the right place. My vision is to empower financial legacies for generations. I am a mortgage planner and finance strategist, and I work with doctors, developers, business owners, and high-income earners to build serious property portfolios. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Finance This, Property That. We have Darren from WeCoverU, the other half.
The better half.
The better half, yeah. We're sick of you. We're not sick of you, George, but...
he hogs the limelight, right?
You do, yeah. You do like a bit of a chat. But, mate, thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having us, mate. Appreciate it.
No, it's been a while between drinks, as we like to say, but hopefully you didn't need to take any tunnels to get here.
No, I came the long way, mate. And avoid tunnels that's a good reference back to the previous podcast. Very good.
I remember the random points.
Yes.
Mate, look, I really wanted to get you on here because George really understands and talks a lot about the structures of insurance and the product side of things. But I think I wanted to get you on here to talk about the strategy of insurance.
Yes.
Kind of different, but same. But I really want to cover off, common
pitfalls, gaps,
in business and property.
Yeah.
But also, how do you look at structuring insurances for growth and risk?
Yes.
But then, the topic that we're going to get coming into this, I guess we call it what? The storm season?
Event season.
Season.
You know, like NRL players and then AFL have their off season.
Yeah.
This is the off season. We're just about to start our season. Mother Nature is coming loud and she'll keep us busy.
Yes, and that only means claims.
Lots of
claims. So, we want to talk about, when shit hits the fan.
Literally.
Yep. How do you guys help and what's the...
Well, it's the proof point.
Yeah.
I mean, we pay a lot of money for insurance, spend a lot of time, lots of effort to get the right coverage in place, but ultimately the policy's got to respond.
Yeah.
So really good points to talk about.
Exactly. And it's all strategic, right?
It is.
I hate paying insurance. I forgot to pay the insurance and George is like, hey, mate.
Polite reminder.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, probably should pay the insurance on the investment property, that we just bought.
Well, we should recognize also, it's not cheap anymore. It costs a lot of money to insure your property, especially in Southeast Queensland.
Yeah.
We are where reinsurers really, honestly, probably don't want to insure. Okay, so it costs a lot of money. So when it does go wrong, it needs to respond.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into the nitty gritty, just been to Bali.
Just been to Bali, had my mate's 50th birthday party over there. Yeah. Not really sure how the policies go over there. Not sure the buildings would meet the stringent building codes we have in Australia. But that said, we had a great time.
Scaffolding's made of bamboo there, right?
Safe as up, right? It stands up. Great people, great time, great food, and highly recommend.
Yeah, just don't get splashed with...
don't get sick.
Don't open your mouth in the shower.
Correct. Yes. Be careful.
Yes, but you can on Bintan. We just came back from Club Med.
Bintan's great.
Bintan. And my 12-year-old daughter, you don't want her to... She's not going to think about closing her mouth.
A Bintan Pilsner.
Yeah, exactly. And this comes, But yes, that place you can drink the water.
Yes.
It's that was one of my key points if we're going there.
Well, we were. You definitely couldn't drink the water.
No,
and I'm a testing case for that.
Yes. Been to Bali, especially if it's the dirty, muddy water.
Correct.
Yes.
Ditch water.
Yes. No, we're good. Look, mate. Let's get cracking.
Yeah. Why not?
Right. So we've got different types of insurances that we look at. We've got the business commercial side and the property. So what are some of the gaps you're actually seeing in your world right now?
So there's actually a common thread between residential, landlord and commercial property. That's the right sum insured amount. So we often will see a client and we'll have a chat to them and they may have not reviewed their cover for 3, 4, 5 years. Now in those 3, 4, 5 years, as we all know, building costs, labor costs, replacement has gone through the roof. So underinsurance Underinsurance is the biggest issue that we see. And it's difficult, right? Because I'm not a master builder. You're not a master builder. You know, how do you confidently understand how much you want to insure your building for, your commercial premise for, your landlord for? So really, we advocate regular, consistent reviews to ensure you're keeping up with those costs. Now, insurance companies will index and raise your sum insured amounts, normally by 5-6%. But we see like I say, the rise in building costs, labor costs, materials. There's an Olympics coming, so there's a labor shortage. So we only see that going up through the roof even more. It's making sure that when something does go wrong, you are adequately covered to return yourself back to a level playing field that you were prior to the event.
Yeah, so you just touched on a point, like you're not a builder, I'm not a builder.
No.
So
what do you do?
How do you, I don't know, do you like, I think it's worth...
Well, ultimately, that is where some customers lead to, a bit of an educated guess, but there are tools out there. Now, we can't give personal advice on your building sum insured amount. We don't know your property, but insurers have calculators, tools. A really good example, we've got commercial premises with 15 units that we insure. We actually got a quantity surveyor to go out and do an insurance assessment replacement valuation. Now, they were insured for 2.4 million. It just didn't look right on the pub test, on the eye test. The valuation came back. Adequate insurance, $4.6 million.
To double.
So God forbid if something happened, a major fire, a major event, and there was total loss, they'd be looking at a gap of over $2 million. Now we've rectified that, but that was only because someone had the foresight to reach out to the client in WeCoverU and encourage them to get that valuation. And for $600, peace of mind.
$600 saves you $2 million.
Potentially. Now, that's an extreme example, but you multiply over people's homes, houses. That's our biggest issue. And we see a lot of clients go direct insurers. They'll go online. They'll key their $400,000 in. Building sum insured, property bought 10 years ago. Yeah. It's probably worth $600,000 now to replace.
So from a residential lending point of view, if you don't get a valuation, short form valuation, so the short form valuations, the valuers do a insurance estimate.
Correct.
And if you get a short form valuation, you must insure it for a minimum of that.
Correct.
And they're pretty close.
Yes, they are.
It's pretty close.
It's in the ballpark.
Yeah. But then some of the banks are so fast now that they just do an AVM.
Yeah.
And the AVM comes in at whatever you need it to come. Let's say contractor sales 1.5 million.
Yeah.
But the building's not worth 1.5 million.
No. And we do see the flip side of that where people actually insure the purchase price.
Yeah.
And if there's a major fire or weather event that comes through, once you demolish the home, you've still got your land value.
Yeah.
So we do see that as well. But the other thing is it's not just the rising cost of, labor and building materials. People renovate their homes.
Yeah.
All right. They do lots of work. You put hundreds of thousands of dollars into those homes. It's really important you're consistently talking to your insurer, your broker, to ensure the work you're doing in the home is replicating the insurance policy. Because if something does go wrong and it hasn't been disclosed, potentially you have that shortfall again.
Yeah, it's always been a tough one because obviously working in the bank, but prior they'd ask you, what do I insure? And we used to do like the general insurance.
Yes.
And we're like, let's get on the calculator. And the calculator, they used to do it, and then
it seemed high.
It seemed really high, but outside looking and going, it's probably right.
And there's that dichotomy because also obviously the more you insure your home for, the more it costs. So people obviously are cost sensitive as well. So there's not a real desire or motivation from a lot of clients to look to insure their home for more because they want to keep costs down. So it's a really difficult spot to be. And I mean, the other thing, Dion, about you, I used to get my insurance renewal. I wouldn't even open the envelope. It would just sit there. I'll get to it. And a lot of clients aren't even aware what they're insured for because it was done ages ago. Yeah. A long time ago.
And I guess that's one of the biggest advantages of using someone like you guys. It'll be, hey, 3 months, 2 months, whatever your renewal trigger is.
Correct. We're a classy pest.
Yeah.
So if you insure through WeCoverU or any broker, each year we'll put your policy back out to market, but we'll be a trigger point to say, has anything changed?
Yeah.
Are you happy with the sum insured amount? What can we do to help you? And that trigger point often leads to really good conversations and an increase in coverage. Or alternatively, if they are overinsured, a decrease in coverage. But we're the trigger point to have that conversation with the client.
And then, making sure it's like, well, you can make the suggestion, and it's up to the clients really to make the...
Right. At the end of the day, the client needs to make an informed decision. We like to think we empower them to make that informed decision.
And that's tough because cost of living, it's in quotation marks. There's a cost of spending. You're probably spending more than what you should be, but people don't want to spend on insurance. It's classic. Like we've talked about this a lot. People hate spending money on insurance because it's that one time.
Well, it's a fun industry. So you'll pay a lot of money, and the best case scenario is that you'll do nothing with it. You'll get a piece of paper each year, and nothing will happen.
And all you do is just go straight to the price.
Correct. And people
I do that.
They do, and people also anchor on historical prices. So we'll hear clients say, my insurance should be around $1,500. That was true and correct 12 years ago. But people remember the original purchase price. They don't understand that things have changed, inflation. So you are always trying to have an informed conversation to understand the value of insurance and the importance of insurance. Now, we're quite lucky in Queensland because we do see the weather events. We do see the floods. We do see the fires. We had a cyclone off the coast, which really has put a cat amongst the pigeons from an insurance point of view and an underwriting point of view. But at least we do see the fundamental risks. I think for my counterparts in other parts of Australia, it'd be a lot more difficult where they don't see the real tangible mother nature events happen.
Yeah, unless you're in Victoria with the bushfires.
Correct. Well, that's obviously left a very scarring effect down there.
So as you were just talking about the prices or the risk going up in southeast Queensland. What's the area that you're talking about in southeast Queensland? Is it just the whole of?
Mate, I think prior to Cyclone Alfred, I would have said anywhere north around Bundaberg and that central northern Queensland, but we did see a cyclone come off the islands. Thank God for Stradbroke Island and Moreton Island. They took a large brunt of it, and those Redlands coast. But I think we're seeing now Gold Coast regularly get hit by major storms. So really, I would put Queensland, even northern New South Wales, in that bracket of under pressure from a weather event. Yeah, and we're not helping it. And I don't want to get down this path politically, but we're still building on floodplains. We've got population density. We're building where we shouldn't be building. If a flood happens in a field with no homes, no one talks about it. If that field now has 100 homes on it, you've got an impact to humans. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So,
and I think, looking our counterparts up northern Queensland, it's normal that prices aren't cheap up there.
Correct.
Because they just get hit. But they're so used to it.
Correct. And the homes are now built to a point where they're of a standard where they hopefully can survive a major weather event as well come through. But back to my earlier point, those communities in northern Queensland have seen the very real devastation that weather events can happen. And let's not forget, weather events are one component of claims. There's lots of other ways that claims can happen as well. So you put that on top and you have an issue.
Do you just touch base on the houses being structurally made differently up there? Do you think that we'd sort of see that, or are we seeing that coming through?
Look, we didn't see it too much with Alfred. So I think we got off quite lightly. But if a home is built to withstand a cyclone and not built to withstand a cyclone, and a cyclone hits, then you don't have to be a genius to understand what could potentially happen there.
Yeah, because going through the Paddington Rosalie area, you're seeing all the reconstruction of those properties. And they're just being now propped up.
Correct.
All propped up. So they're I could see in those areas you kind of have to do it.
Yep. And flood's a funny one because it's good saying in insurance, flood, if you flooded before, potentially unless there's major work done, it's not an if event, it's a when event. You potentially will flood again. So people now obviously understanding of that don't want to go through the same trauma and rebuild and cost. So they're working with their builders and insurers to make sure that they're now floodproof. You see insurers like Suncorp coming out, with their, I think it's their catastrophe protection cover, really trying to be more proactive than reactive to these kind of events.
I think that's pretty much the only way those direct providers are. Because you never hear from them.
No.
It's
not
bill.
their model, to be fair.
No. Here's your bill.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay it or not? You need to come back. Yes. So that's where very similar to mortgage broking, that's where the value is.
Individual support, correct.
Yep. Cool, man. Look, we could go on for ages.
We could.
Yeah, we could. But let's talk about structuring insurances. Just like I structured loan strategy. Do you guys actually structure insurance in a way where you guys, like let's say business owners and even property investors, or structure for growth and risk? Like how do you guys go about it?
Probably not too dissimilar to yourself. I think understanding the client's needs and objectives are really important, especially for businesses in our world. And people don't think we go down this path, but understanding the mechanics of the business, understanding the potential risk issues that you have, understanding the growth. And I think where a broker comes into its real, in essence, it's sweet spot is regular, consistent conversations, because businesses change. We see turnover change. We see employee numbers change. We see lists of equipment change. We see items sold, items bought, new premises. So really, you've got to be steadfast with your client. You've really got to stand with them and go along the journey and regularly have those conversations around like, what's changing, where do you want to be, potential new contracts, new coverage needed, new scopes of work, different activities. So not to put it in one particular basket, it's that regular, consistent conversation and review to ensure that not only you're just structuring the insurance policy, but you understand the business. So the coverage is there for the business.
And that coverage, like, it's not just there for the business now. You're structuring for the business
for the
2-3 steps
for the growth
down the track.
Correct.
So what's some of the things that you've seen where clients have come to you and you've just gone, what the hell?
Look, a couple of things. Turnover is a big one. So we'll have turnovers listed of, say, $200,000, and then it's a $1.6 million turnover. So fundamentally, the business has just done really well, all right? Employee numbers. We've had a situation where clients have bought and sold vehicles and not updated the insurance.
Oh, so they're just paying for something they don't
They're paying for a vehicle or a truck that was there 2 years ago that's been sold. We had one, it's a good example of a good news story. We had one where a new vehicle was purchased, never put on the policy, a write-off in an accident, and we were able to work with the insurer to understand the customer wasn't trying to be advantageous or profiteer. They just hadn't changed the vehicles over. We've had change of premises where we've reached out to do a renewal and clients, I don't work there anymore. We're down the road. You name it, it can happen. But I think we need to understand also that for a small business owner, medium business owner, you're running so hard, so quick, insurance sometimes can be the thing you just forget about, which is why we need to be active and present, consistently asking those thought-provoking conversation and questions around what's changed, what can we do?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just changed premises, but
Only happened once, but it did happen.
Once is enough.
Once enough
is one
to scare
too
us.
many. Yeah.
Yeah.
The change in vehicles I could understand.
Yes.
Because especially if they're an industry where they've got lots of multiple leases.
Yeah.
That's very easy.
Well, and you normally find you've got that key person in the business that was the insurance lady or gentleman. They move on, and then you have that void and gap being picked up.
Who's looking after it?
Correct.
Yeah. What are some of those, I guess, risk points of getting that wrong? Like what if that's wrong or not right or updated? And what sort of, what's your tip, I guess, to business owners, like to stop that from happening?
So due to disclosure is huge for insurance. So I won't go into the details. Potentially there's ramifications for claims like non-disclosure. You may have situations where an insurer wouldn't have invited coverage if they had known certain things, maybe outside their underwriting guideline. We may have to go to another insurer. The biggest tip, and it seems so simple for a business owner, is engage a broker. I'm not trying to promote WeCoverU, any broker, all right? If you want to grow and diarize those half-yearly, quarterly conversations with your broker, the best conversation you have is nothing's changed, I'm really happy. Or it'll be just that moment in your busy day, busy week where you spend half an hour to an hour just thinking about the risk element side of your business, what you need to protect, and making those adequate changes that when something does happen in the future, it saves you so much time and inconvenience.
Yeah, you can almost put that straight into your calendar every month, every quarter.
I like to say, best outcome is we're all good. We don't need you.
As a little reminder every month, has anything changed in my business that I need to let my insurance person know about?
I guarantee you it would have changed.
Yeah. Especially so when, you talk about turnover. When should you be upping the turnover? What does that even look like?
Yeah, look, that can be quite ambiguous. I mean, upon renewal each year, we'll have that conversation. But I think wholesalely, if your turnover triples, doubles.
In a month. Yeah.
Just an email into the broker, into the insurer, just notify them. Look, maybe some people say that's overkill. We're quite conservative and quite, promoting of that regular, consistent feedback into insurers. But fundamentally, if your business has changed activity and ramped up, we see a lot where a new contract is signed. So I'm going down this path, then I may get a contract with a council or a major supplier. That would be a trigger point to have that conversation. Hey, I just need to up coverage here.
Yeah, because I guess with turnover, it's hard, from my business.
And it will float and fluctuate.
Yeah.
And you're not changing every month.
No.
It's that wholesale significant change.
No, but if you're saying your turnover was 200,000 last financial year.
Correct.
And in quarter one, it's 250. Well, we already know it's
going to be a good
it's
year.
going to be a good year.
It's gonna be a
One,
good
high
year.
five.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll have a good Christmas party. But two, well, I'm already going to make more than 200. Might as well change it to reduce the risk down.
And maybe things like, certain contracts require certain liability amounts. You may need $20 million, but you've actually got $10 million. All those kind of things we can help structure and put in place for you.
Yeah. So when you're doing that sort of insurance, are you doing like their liability? Like, is that for a business owner? Because there's a lot of insurances I can think of. Obviously, it's public liability, cyber insurance.
Cyber's a key one at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. We had Lachlan Hastings on here talking about that because he's quite
he's
quite geeky on that side of things. But there's cyber, obviously motor vehicle, equipment,
correct,
premises,
business interruption, glass for your landlords. There's lots you can do.
Far out. There's a lot to think about as a business, eh?
There is, but let your broker do the thinking for you.
Yeah, and I always think as an investment property, you should treat it like a business.
Yes, agree.
Not because you're not living in it.
Yeah.
So you're getting income from it.
It's earning an income.
It's got income. It's got expenses.
Yeah.
And there's no employees, but
well, there's not. But there's a part. I saw you had a property manager on, right? They're fundamental to the insurance piece. Like if you've got a good property manager who doesn't pick up maintenance, and we have it all the time, right? Roofs, guttering, water stains. So if they're not identified and not fixed, potentially lodging a claim, the insurer may say that's not an insured event, that's a maintenance issue. So we'll work in partnership with property managers, owners to ensure that the policy responds when you need it to.
Yes, basically that's the team.
Correct.
Yeah, it's more than just because I do say your team's more than just your finance, your accountant, and your lawyer.
Yeah,
you've got to build your insurance, property manager,
100%.
Anyone else that's actually going to play a key part, trades if you need it. But
yes,
so you just touched there on claims.
Yes,
let's just get rid of this elephant in the room.
That's why we're here, right?
Right. So it's event season.
It is events. We're coming into event season.
Yeah. What is it now? We are the 16th of October. I know I went through a claim. It's probably one of the most terrible experiences I've ever had. But mate, when shit hits the fan, what is the thing that really what can go wrong and how do we fix it?
Yeah.
How do we reduce the risk of shit hitting the fan or avoid
that's the key point. That's the key point. So look, claims, insurance get a bad rep. All right. What I will say to defend the claim receiving insurance companies, fundamentally, they're looking to pay the claim. I think the days of insurance companies being perceived as looking to get out of claims through ambiguous wording, being strict, they actually don't happen. I won't name the insurer I used to work for, but we paid out approximately 96% of all claims. The other 4% were invalid or fraudulent. So I think that's the good starting point. Work with your insurer. They're not against you. The biggest tip that I can give anyone lodging a claim, well, let's go pre the event, right? This property owners, regular maintenance is key. So I don't know about you, Dion. I don't get my roof very often. I don't clear my gutters very often. I probably don't do the fundamental repair work around the home that I'd like to do. If you're that way inclined and you've got the time, that's a big way to event a real sticking point when it comes to claim. All right, we see a lot of roof claims where there's wear and tear, pointing of tiles, broken tiles, guttering filled up with tree debris that causes water to flow. So maintenance is key, especially maintenance for investment properties, because when I go home, I can see the issues in my home and I can be proactive and do it. I probably don't drive around my investment properties and look at it with those eyes. So working with your property manager to ensure that you're on top of maintenance issues, not just because the bed's been made, tick, it's great and move on.
Well, that's literally what Jess and Chris said last time. Yeah. So they're like, the number one thing that'll ruin your investment is having a shitty property manager.
Correct.
That just goes and look, we've cleaned it. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the roof is completely full of debris, causing a gutters to overflow, causing water leakage.
Yeah. Or there's like rusty pipes.
Yes.
Under the
sink, the rust out.
Yeah.
Escape a leak. It's a huge claim.
Yeah.
So there's that. But eventually things do happen. All right. As much detail to the insurer at the initial claim lodgement will save you a hell of a lot of time. So a lot of people will lodge a claim almost like they're throwing some information into an online portal and hope for the best. Be detailed, take lots of pictures, work with your insurer, work with your broker, and then just be proactive. Like I say, I think there's also an understanding that insurance companies aren't the SES. They won't be there while the storm is happening. They're there post the event. I think also just for your own sanity, when there is a major event, and understand that things will take time. Ideally, they shouldn't, and companies should be able to respond quickly. But just there's a saturation point. There's only, as I said earlier, there's only so many trades.
Yeah.
Only so many plumbers, carpenters, make safes that are there.
And how do you know they're not affected either?
100% they could be, right? A lot of the time, it's actually unsafe for these individuals to go to these properties while the event is still happening. So, water has to recede before you can go and do some real drying out there. So I think patience, detail, proactive are my top three. Top three.
Yeah. So what do you, how much, you may not have the stat, but year on year, like how do you see the amount of claims happening year on year? Is it increasing?
Yeah, it really depends on the weather events.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that basic level of claims. Like people will crash into people. I've got a claim at the moment. My daughter had a sleepover and moved the mattress down the stairs and put it through the gyprock. So silly things, human things will always happen. It's when you put that major weather event on top. That's where you see the break points. Look, we've actually had a fairly good, where's wood? I've got to touch wood here, Dion. We've had a fairly good run in Queensland. Doesn't feel that way. I mean, Alfred was a cyclone. It caused a disruption, but in terms of actual property loss and total loss, it wasn't that significant. So the insurance company should be coming into this event season in a good position, but it just takes that one massive hail event, that one big flood, that one big fire to bring it all back. So I think we're in a good position this year, but you just don't know what Mother Nature's going to throw at you.
And that's the hard part. Again, you can only protect yourself and be aware, be proactive.
Correct.
Have the right team behind you.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I said, I've never ever claimed. That's the first claim I've ever made.
That wasn't a good experience, was it?
No, it was terrible. But
that wasn't with WeCoverU.
No, it wasn't with WeCoverU. No. But it was the funniest thing was that unless it rained, I would have never known that there was a hole in the roof because the hole in the roof got caused by someone putting in solar panels.
Correct.
But no.
And you logically, and I agree with you, think that is an insurance claim. But it wasn't.
It's quite funny. I actually had to pay more money to get the claim done than the claim actually costs.
Yeah. But also a good example and something we often have conversation with insurers about is we see lots of procrastination in claims. Claims consultants, they've got to follow a procedure and want to make the right decision. They generally do want to make the right decision, but they'll procrastinate. We often try and encourage us, make a call, make a decision. Like if it's a claim, let's pay the claim. Because if you pay the claim, that cements the trust. That's a client for life.
Yeah,
it really is. Like a good claim experience it validates the fact that I am paying this money, and when I do need the policy to respond, it will respond. Yeah. But it's those declines that take 2 to 3 months. They're the ones that we see the frustration in client, because not only are you declining the claim or putting restrictions on the claim, you've taken 2 to 3 months to get to that decision. Let's make a quicker, faster decision so I can move on, get the work done. And fundamentally, when there's a claim at your home, it impacts your quality of living. Yeah. You want it done out of the way to get your home back to the castle it should be.
Yeah, because you're always like wondering, there's a leak in the roof, but it's not fixed. And
it's
raining.
You're nervous over rain. Correct, right?
It's like, do I put a bucket underneath it?
We've seen friction with couples saying, will you please get this resolved? And the other party's, I'm trying to. And
I guess that's where you guys would step in and be the voice of the customer.
So we will help you lodge the claim. Look, we won't manage the claim. No. That's done by the insurer. Yeah. Where we step in is if things aren't going as smoothly, if there's delays in communication, we often get involved in if there's a cash settlement offer, we'll try and abdicate to ensure the client is adequately compensated for their loss. We often turn over claim decisions because there can be an ambiguous borderline decision made, and we'll come and argue on behalf of we will abdicate on behalf of our client, and we'll ensure that there's a fair outcome resolved for our clients.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I guess that's the value. And it's what I think I touched base on this with George last time. I said, it'd be interesting to see the stats, because the stats for the people that use a mortgage broker in Australia is now 77.6% of all Australians use a mortgage broker. It'd be very interesting to see what the stat is for
percentage claims paid.
No. Percentage of people that use an insurance broker.
I'll be very low.
Yeah. But how do we shift the needle? I think that's
I think from a domestic point of view, so domestic is your home and car insurance. I think we're seeing a rise in direct insurers. That's fundamentally driven by price. It's funny though, we often pick up a lot of clients post-claim experience. It may not be that the claim's been denied, but it's the work and the time involved to get to that decision. Clients are busy. You're busy. I'm busy. I can't sit on the phone for 3 hours on a Monday morning trying to get through to my insurer.
Oh yeah, it was painful.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. It's good to know that we've got such good support. There are actually really good brokers out there.
There are who generally care about their clients. And look, I need to be upfront. Sometimes there will be the clients.
Yeah.
For valid reasons, but we will help explain those valid reasons to you so you don't feel let down, frustrated. You can be disappointed at the outcome, but you understand the rationale behind it.
Yeah, because when I know when I'm talking to someone that they're not the ones actually making the decision.
No.
They're the ones delivering the message.
Correct.
For the person that makes the decision. And you're always going to aim your frustration at them.
Correct.
It's annoying, and this is a human nature, but yes, no, I totally understand it. The third party who's actually on your side will probably be a better voice of reason.
You hope so, right? And you know the client as well, and you can give them opportunities and avenues to go elsewhere. Or like you say, sometimes just deliver that bad news in a empathetic, compassionate way.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Correct.
Yeah, no, cool. Mate, look, we could crap on forever.
Yes.
Like we can keep going on, but it's given a bit of an insight as to like how the insurance brokers work on strategy and things like that as well, and how to set you up for growth and success. So, I can't speak highly of you guys enough. Well, I just lost my words. Highly of you and George. You are genuine people that actually give a crap about their clients.
We do.
Hence why you guys have come out, and I'm a massive supporter of you guys.
You are.
And
Thank you.
Love. No. I appreciate that. It's easy. Like it's not hard because you guys do a good job. It's harder to support people when they don't do a good job.
Yeah.
But man, look. How can people get a hold of you guys if you...
Yep. So www.WeCoverU, the letter U, not YOU.com.au.
Yep.
We're on LinkedIn. Our website is there. Look, we really want to put across to clients, it doesn't have to be a policy to talk to us. We're happy to have a conversation. All right. We're here to help you. We'll play the long game. We often tell clients they've got a good policy where they are right now, but let's review it in the future.
Well, you told me about my Tesla.
Yeah, and we're here to help, right? And my last piece of it for clients with any insurance, prepare the policy for a claim, not for the cheapest premium.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
Why bother even having insurance?
Correct.
Yeah, cool. So as usual, the information on this podcast is very general in nature, does not take into consideration your personal circumstances. If you want to have your insurances reviewed or have a conversation, you know where to find Darren and George.
Reach out.
Yep, it's free, doesn't cost you anything. If you want to talk about finance, you know where to find me. Instagram at Dion Finance Specialist. LinkedIn. This podcast has got its own website, financespropertythat.com.au. You can go back and see the back catalogue of all the missed episodes.
How many now?
62 is just about to drop.
Nice.
So I think, we're above 60. Yeah, we're above 50. I know we're above 50. But yeah, it's going along very smoothly. So it's been good. But until the next episode, we'll see you all there and happy listening.
Thanks, Dion.
No worries.